Hello ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. This will probably be most likely the last video of the day, and then tomorrow we'll be back to normal. So what we have here is kind of showing you on how Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's VP, is authoritarian, and if he gets into office, this is what's going to happen to you. And I think everybody should be quite aware on how this guy runs his own state, on how authoritarian he ran his state, how people were being jailed for things that they were just trying to keep their business open at the time, and fining them for $1,000+ because, you know, people are just not allowed to work, not allowed to keep their business open. That's not to shutter it. So, without further ado, guys, here is the actual explanation of what is going on with the whole situation with Tim Walz here. So, here you go.
To be a heartbeat away from Commander-in-Chief, but Tim Walz has lied about his military record for years.
He's used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career.
Walz lied repeatedly about his rank.
Retired Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Walz lied about being in combat.
Can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war,
Walz dodged deployment by retiring when he knew his National Guard unit was going to Iraq.
Everybody knew they were going to train and go to Iraq. The warning order basically stated it, and 2 months later, after he knew it, that's when he retired.
Walz disparaged Minnesota National Guard soldiers.
Mayor said I request the National Guard. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
That same Minnesota National Guard that he disparaged, unlike Walz, served heroically in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tim Walz is not fit to be anywhere near the office of Commander-in-Chief. Tim Walz is guilty of stolen valor.
He abandoned us, you know. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that?
Yeah, so you got the kind of the drift of Tim Walz here and what is going on. Now, we're going to be talking about a bit more on Tim Walz really just going insane about this. Because, again, whether you guys think that he has stolen valor or not, or whether you think that's okay, whether that affects you, I think it's important to let some of the veterans know on kind of what he has done, so that way we can see where he goes. Now it's going to get progressively worse as this video goes on, guys, because Tim Walz should not be trusted. He should not be trusted at all. Same thing with Kamala Harris. Instead, they'll try to steal things and take so many people's policy plans and incorporate them into their own, which I find as a issue. So, that being said, this is Tim Walz raging and being angry over the fact that, you know, they called him, you know, either Tampon Tim or, you know, have a stolen valor, and trying to really defend himself because he's taking offense to this. Well, too bad, Tim Walz. You did this, and you can't just say J.D. Vance is, you know, this failure or what have you, because you've done all this. You have to pick up your stones and deal with it. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. So, here's the actual video here of Tim Walz really just losing his mind over, you know, over the stolen valor debacle.
These guys are even attacking me for my record of service. And I just want to say, I'm proud to serve my country, and I always will be. With my dad's encouragement, a guy who served in the Army during the Korean War, I signed up for the Army National Guard 2 days after my 17th birthday. I served for the next 24 years for the same reason all my brothers and sisters in uniform do. We love this country. Then in 2005, I felt the call of duty again, this time of being service to my country in the halls of Congress. My students inspired me to run for that office, and I was proud to make it to Washington. I was a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee and a champion of our men and women in uniform. I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country. And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
So Tim Walz is really trying to prevent the stolen valor narrative to really get further out. He's trying desperately to prevent this from going on, and this is his response to it. And there are some people even going on to say that, well, this is like, J.D. Vance, this was a great response. I don't think it was, because, again, this is something that he may have something to do with his service. And we could say that he's good for his service and what he's done, but what he has abandoned his men is not okay. So, again, we have this here from J.D. Vance saying, "Hi, Tim, I thank you for your service, but you shouldn't have lied about it. You shouldn't have said you went to your war when you didn't, nor should you have said that you didn't know your unit was going to Iraq. How to discuss more in a debate." And of course, this was already shown as, people that were with him, people that were on a campaign with him. He just left, or a tour, if you will, a tour with him, and they're angry that he left. So much so, they obviously went to and complained to the Minnesota area and had it corrected. So again, this is something that Tim Walz has to get past, and I don't think he will. Tim Walz is playing defensive here. He is scared. He is terrified of the fact that all this information is being released, and he's playing defensive in order to try to, rectify himself. And of course, the woke lefties are going to be eating this up because they're ignorant on the matter. But we're going to go into more pressing matters here, all right? More pressing matters. Because what we have here is something that people need to be a bit more aware of what's going on. So, what we have here is Tim Walz pretty much letting Minnesota burn to the ground, handcuffing pretty much the police, making the police not have to wear body armor or anything, go bare and have the protesters attack him. They completely degraded them. And this is not a good look. This is a situation to where the police really attacking Tim Walz for all the horrible policies that he has done, and it's not a good look for him.
Testified at the Minnesota Senate today. The officers are all board members for the Minneapolis Police Federation. And as Esme Murphy reports, they offered up a scathing critique of government and police leaders during the riots following George Floyd's death.
That's not what we stand for.
Her voice shaking, Minneapolis Police Sergeant Anna Hedberg says during the riots, officers were abandoned by state, city, and department leaders.
To watch them go through that was so heartbreaking. To know that they could have died because we were not allowed to respond the way that we have been trained to respond.
During the riots, the officers were told they could not wear protective frog suits, but were still hit and injured with bottles, cement, and more. Sergeant Hedberg blames state, city, and department leaders for the abandonment of the 3rd Precinct.
I heard the governor say, "Give it up." It wasn't directly to me, it was through a phone call. How the governor says, "Give up the precinct." I mean, that's demoralizing for this whole state.
And the 3 described a demoralized police force with dozens of officers planning to retire or quit.
I believe I speak for every Minneapolis cop when I tell you that I've never been more publicly humiliated.
They also described a city out of control.
The crime is rampant in Minneapolis right now.
So yes, he let BLM run the streets, burn everything down to the ground. If what you see here of the Minnesota BLM riots, or what you see here, if this is all allowed by Tim Walz, this was allowed by him. He did not make the police do their jobs and let his city burn. That is what Tim Walz is going to do. And then when there is a riot, or if there is a major civil war or whatever, you can count on him to flee because he already abandoned his men on that front, and to let your own cities burn because he won't allow you, he will not do anything about it. That is just the reality of having Tim Walz in office. Now, this is Kevin O'Leary really just going after the juggler of Tim Walz because he is attacking him on how badly he destroyed Minnesota, how badly he just completely made the citizens of Minnesota suffer, and I think this is a great telling of what to expect from this guy.
Saw was almost 60% of Americans are invested in the market, whether it's a pension, a 401k, and yet the Democrat VP nominee Tim Walz has zero money in investments. What do you make of someone trying to run the country with zero investment acumen?
I didn't know anything about the VP candidate, Tim, and so I did some digging last week. I got the data last Friday. He is not a good manager. If you look at his stewardship of his state, Minnesota, it's been not good. And I'll tell you how I measure it. Look, and don't people say, oh, you're partisan, you're partisan. No, I'm not. I'm looking at the track record of an individual who came into a state and wiped out job creation. He wiped out job creation in professional, in manufacturing, in accounting, in every subcategory you look at. Those jobs moved to South Dakota and North Dakota. The South Dakota job rate right now is 4 times that of Minnesota. Minnesota only creates jobs in services that are funded by the government, healthcare and social services. Every other sector is in decline. He's also added a surcharge of 1%, 100 basis points, on top of 9.8% taxes on individuals that are retiring. And of course they're leaving the state in droves. And he's the best governor for Texas, for Florida, for North and South Dakota, but not for Minnesota.
And that's exactly right. That's where they all went, Kevin.
So what we have here is that we have a governor that has completely and utterly destroyed Minnesota's economy to the point of just destruction, and we want to have this guy here that let Minnesota burn, that let it all go to hell. We did not allow the cops to do anything at all to fix the issues to actually stop the protesters, to stop the rioters. No, he will allow mayhem to come. Now, what we have here is something even more worse. This is as bad as everything is. This man will stomp on your rights, get rid of your rights, ignore the Constitution at all points, and make sure that if you are going to go to protect your business, to have your business stay in business during a lockdown or what have you, he will have you arrested for 90 days, pay a $1,000 bill, among other things, and it's completely insane. This guy is a tyrant. He is an authoritarian with the perfect definition of him. We cannot allow this guy to be here, because if he is here, this will happen to you.
And COVID happened, and in the state of Minnesota, my business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and coffee bistro, and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the being shuttered and not being able to survive that because of what Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me and to my business, as well as our employees. And so what happened is with the first shutdown, we didn't really know what to do, what was going on, and we did comply. And I hate to say that, looking back at everything I've stood for, but we did comply because we didn't know what else to do. He never fully opened up the state. To point this out, who did he shut down? Governor Walz shut down only some of the businesses. The essential businesses got to stay open. So I guess that means that we were a non-essential business, but so he shut down bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, etc. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores, with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day, mingling and being close. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs. So think about the contrast there. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living and provide a great product and a great service. In contrast, he allowed big box stores, et cetera, to stay open. Really incredible, an incredible use of tyranny against the people. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner, as well as other small business owners in the state of Minnesota. They came down, they sent the health department down, they sent everything they could against us. They employed all of their resources against we the people. I went to court. I was found guilty. was precipitated and put on me by the, you got to go all the way to the top. That again, that'd be Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. I was given sentenced to 90 days, which was the max sentencing, and I was also fined $1,000, which was the max fine for this supposed thing that I did, where I was standing on my rights and totally protected by the Constitution of the United States of America. But when you have rogue judges, rogue government, attorney general, et cetera, they're all in lockstep with each other, it doesn't go very well for the people. And this is what we need to be standing against. And this is the story that America needs to know. This is the story that America needs to hear. That Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful coach like all the things that the MSMs are calling him, or some of the things that they're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to me will happen to you if we don't get things turned around in our country.
Yeah, so this is what an authoritarian is. Full control, making sure that people are unjustly arrested and things like that. That's what an authoritarian does. And he has shown that he is not capable of being a good governor. He is not capable of even being a VP. And I find it hilarious that that Kamala Harris linked arms with a guy that she was friends with prior to all this. So it's quite hilarious, really. And now I'm going to show you the actual clip of the media just protecting Vance. Or not protecting Vance, but protecting Tim Walz. And saying he's a good guy and all that, when in reality he's not. And about the whole tampon situation, which they're also missing one crucial detail.
He has done that is getting him criticism. The Trump campaign is attacking Governor Walz as, quote, tampon Tim, which drives me crazy. Because it is making fun of something very serious and very caring that he has done for Minnesota students. Talk about this.
Well, first and foremost, Tim Walz is a dad, and that is big dad energy, making sure that folks who need access to hygiene products have them. We don't charge people to use toilet paper right at their schools. This is a necessity for people, and I think it just shows like the kindness and the goodness in him. And I also think folks are telling on themselves, right, when they don't see why this is a necessity. You're telling me you've never had to use a wad of toilet paper and like try to figure it out, or that you haven't had resources to pay for tampons or for pads. This is a real issue, and it just shows how disconnected they are from the lives of real people across the country. I think it's a huge victory, and he should wear that moniker proudly.
So here's the thing that they're not mentioning here, right? One crucial thing. See, they're saying like, they're trying to spin it to where like, oh, well, he allowed and made a law to where tampons could be in schools. Okay, that's great, and I think everybody enjoys that. I think everybody is fine with that. However, the big crucial thing that they're missing here, that they're willingly just leaving out, is that they're talking about having tampons specifically for in the male's bathroom, right? So this is from the actual bill in itself, saying a school district or charter school must provide students with access to menstrual products at no charge. The products must be available to all menstruating students in restrooms regularly used by students in the grades 4th to 12, according to a plan developed by the school district. Which was not developed by the school district. This was developed by Tim Walz himself in the Minnesota statutes. And so that's what this whole thing is about. And of course, from the Post-Millennial saying, Tim Walz forced Minnesota schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms so girls who think their boys could access them. So, available to all menstruating students. So, he thinks that boys can menstruate, which obviously is a complete insanity. They can't menstruate. But, again, they're putting it into boys' bathrooms, right? That's what they're doing. So, they left that very crucial part out. They didn't mention that it was for all. They're putting it in boys' bathrooms as well, and what have you. So this is what the media does. They will take parts out and leave certain parts out that the majority of America would not enjoy or like. Because I'm pretty sure if they said, oh well, they're putting menstruating pods and all that other stuff, pads and all that other stuff in the boys' bathrooms, I'm pretty sure majority of America is going to say what now? Say what now? You just say you're putting menstruating pods or pads in a boys' bathroom? Why? So again, they leave these crucial things out, and of course, these people have to just be insane. They have to be ludicrous in order to get these things. This is how they lie to people. So again, if we get this guy into office, if we get this guy as VP, Kamala Harris and him are going to trample on everybody's rights, put you into jail for things that are completely insane because he is shown to do this, and when things get too dicey or when things get too hairy, he is just going to let things go completely out of control. And that is just reality because we have seen him do this before. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Let's subscribe, share. As always, take care my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.